Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever paused and truly considered this? You are not a mistake of the universe. We tend to imagine ourselves as strangers here, as though we were dropped into this life uninvited, uncertain, unworthy. But this is not so. You did not come into this world. You came out of it as a leaf from a tree, as a wave from the ocean. To believe in yourself is not to inflate the ego or to build some grand illusion of superiority. It is to recognize that your presence here is no accident. You are part of the very fabric of existence, yet we live under the constant illusion of separation. We are taught to think of ourselves as lonely travelers, as isolated fragments. But have you noticed how everything in nature is connected? How the bird depends on the tree on the soil on the rain, and the rain on the sky. So too you are connected, woven into the same rhythm, the same vast breath. Believing in yourself is not just trusting you, but trusting life as a whole. And here's the secret. To trust yourself, you must let go. That sounds backwards, doesn't it? But think of how floating works. You don't float by trying harder. You float by letting go. The moment you surrender, you rise. The same goes for belief. Stop trying to make yourself worthy. Stop chasing perfection like it's something you earn. Just allow, trust, relax into your own being, because belief is not about having all the answers. It's not about being certain. It is the courage to dance while the music plays, even if you don't know the steps. You are not a static object. You are a process, a movement, a becoming, like a flame, like a melody. You were never meant to be finished, so believe in the unfolding. Now beware of comparison. It is the thief of your truth. The world will constantly offer you mirrors that distort, brighter, louder, faster, but remember this: an oak tree does not envy the stars, and the stars do not wish to be roses. You are here to be you, and no one else. Believe in your path, however quiet or strange it may seem. And if you're ever unsure, go still. Beneath the noise, beneath the doubts, there is a silent space in you that already knows. It doesn't speak in words. It doesn't shout for attention. It simply is. That stillness is where real confidence lives. That's where your truest voice comes from. Not performance, not effort, but presence. Finally, let us laugh a little. Because self-doubt, as terrifying as it feels, is often just a trick of the mind. Like the sun wondering if it shines brightly enough. Like the ocean asking if it's deep. You are already enough. Not because you've achieved something, but because you are. That's it. So believe. Not in a perfect version of yourself, not in some faraway destination, but in this living, breathing presence that you are right now. Not someday, not when you're ready, now. You are not a mistake of the universe. You were not dropped here as an error. You were not born as a misprint in the grand story of the cosmos. It may feel that way sometimes, especially when we are crushed by the weight of expectations, or silenced by our own fears. But those feelings, however powerful, are not proof of truth. They are the clouds, not the sky. You are not some separate creature in a hostile universe, stumbling about in darkness. You are not a stranger in this world. You are this world. Just as an apple tree bears apples, the universe bears people. It grew you, quite naturally, the same way it grows stars and snowflakes, waves and weather. You are not here to justify your existence. You are existence. You are its unique expression, its breath through human form. And yet, we are trained to see ourselves as insufficient. Hold that we must earn our right to belong, that we must prove our value by some external metric, some fabricated measure of worth. But have you ever seen a mountain apologize for its height, or a river question its path? This idea, that you must become something before you can believe in yourself, is backwards. You are not here to become worthy. You are here because you already are. Look to nature. The seed does not doubt that it will become a tree. It does not panic, wondering whether it is good enough to grow. It simply unfolds from within, guided by something wordless and ancient. That same intelligence pulses through you. You are not an intruder in this vast process. You are the process. Even your flaws, even your confusion, are part of the unfolding. The universe has no obligation to make sense to you in every moment. It moves in spirals, not straight lines. You are not a static object to be measured, judged, or compared. You are a rhythm, a movement, a living mystery. So the question is not, am I enough? The deeper question is, can I remember that I already am? Believing in yourself begins here, not in the future, not in success or validation, but in recognizing that your very being is not a problem to be solved, but a presence to be honored. The fact that you are here at all is not a coincidence. It is an invitation. An invitation to be. The illusion of separation, there is a peculiar idea that has taken root in the modern mind. The idea that we are separate. Separate from each other, separate from nature, separate from meaning. We walk through the world as if encased in invisible armor, believing ourselves to be islands of consciousness adrift in a sea of otherness. But this idea is a trick of perception, a distortion born not of reality, but of how we've been taught to look. From the moment we are born, we are named, labeled, and classified. We are told that we have a self in here, and that everything else is out there. And so we begin to live behind the imagined wall of the ego, afraid, defensive, needing to prove ourselves in a world we've come to believe is foreign and indifferent. But look more closely. Do you control your heartbeat? Did you choose to breathe today? Are you consciously directing the cells in your body to divide, to heal, to grow? No. You are being breathed. You are being lived. You are not standing outside the universe, observing it from a distance. You are the universe experiencing itself in human form. You are not apart from nature. You are part of it, as intrinsic and necessary as a flame is to fire, or a ripple is to water. Consider the tree and the breeze. They appear separate, but the wind needs the tree to whistle, and the tree needs the wind to dance. One without the other is incomplete. Likewise, you are not just in the world is in you. Its rhythms pulse through your body, its patterns shape your thoughts, its mysteries echo in your dreams. And yet we have built an entire way of life on the premise that we are alone. This is why fear creeps in. Why self-doubt blooms? Because when you see yourself as separate, the weight of survival seems to rest on your shoulders alone. You begin to believe that your worth must be earned, that safety must be seized, that love must be begged for. But this only deepens the illusion. When you believe in yourself, you are not inflating a lonely ego. You are remembering your place in the whole. You are reconnecting with what you have never truly left. There is no you and the world. There is only one process, one happening, one great unfolding, of which you are a necessary and irreplaceable expression. The wave does not exist apart from the ocean, and you do not exist apart from life. Even your thoughts, even your sense of self, are ripples on the surface of something vast, something ancient and aware. And so, the belief in yourself is not pride. It is not arrogance. It is not shouting into the void for affirmation. It is the quiet recognition that there is no void at all, only connection, only unity, only this moment, blooming endlessly from the center of your being. Let go to trust. Trust is a word we often misunderstand. We tend to associate it with control, with certainty, with securing outcomes. We say, I'll trust myself when I know I won't fail. I'll trust life when things go the way I want. But that is not trust. That is a contract with conditions. That is a cage disguised as safety. Real trust is the opposite of control. It is not the tightening of the fist, but the unclenching of the hand. It is not the building of walls, but the opening of doors. Trust does not arise from knowing what will happen. It arises from accepting that you don't have to. You see, much of what we call believing in ourselves is often just a disguised form of anxiety. We want guarantees. We want to eliminate risk. We want to predict every twist in the road before we take a single step. But life doesn't work that way. Life moves like a river, not a straight line, but with bends and rapids, slow pools and sudden drops. And you are not the architect of the river. You are in the current. The paradox is that the more you try to grip the water, the more it slips through your fingers. And so it is with your own becoming. You cannot force growth. You cannot command clarity. You cannot demand confidence like it is a product you can purchase with the right credentials or achievements. True belief in yourself comes when you stop trying to manipulate the process and instead allow it to unfold through you. Just as the flower does not force itself to bloom, you do not need to push yourself into being. You need only allow space. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean resignation. It means surrendering the illusion that you are in control of every outcome. It means trusting that there is an intelligence deeper than your fear, a rhythm beneath the surface of thought, guiding you even when you don't understand it. This is not a call to passivity, but to presence. When you let go, you are not floating aimlessly. You are floating with trust, like the bird who jumps from the branch not because it has proof the wind will catch it, but because something within knows how to fly. That knowing cannot be taught, it cannot be reasoned with, it must be felt. Letting go is how you come into contact with that inner intelligence, the part of you that already knows how to live, how to love, how to move forward. But you cannot access it by force. You access it in silence, in stillness, in surrender. And only when you stop demanding certainty does real certainty arise, not in the form of answers, but in the form of presence. In that presence, something remarkable begins to happen. The pressure fades, the need to prove disappears, and in its place a quiet strength takes root, a strength not born of effort, but of alignment. The dance of becoming, we often imagine ourselves as fixed entities, as solid statues carved from the stone of childhood, genetics, and circumstance. We speak of identity as if it were a rigid thing, something you either find or lose, but who you are is not a finished sculpture. You are a movement, a dance. You are not a noun, you are a verb. And like any dance, your becoming is not about reaching a final pose, but about responding to the rhythm of each moment. The idea that you must first become someone in order to believe in yourself, that you must arrive at some perfected version before you are worthy of your own trust, is a myth and a cruel one. The truth is, you are always becoming. You are not supposed to be a single, static self. The flower opens, not all at once, but petal by petal. The tide rolls in, not with one wave, but with countless ripples. You are in process, and that process is beautiful, not because it is neat or predictable, but because it is alive. But this idea runs counter to what we're told. We are taught to seek certainty, to label ourselves, to define our path as early and as clearly as possible. What are you going to be? They ask, as if being is a destination you reach rather than a mystery you live. This obsession with finality breeds a subtle violence against the self. We begin to feel ashamed of our uncertainty, of our contradictions, of the parts of us that are still forming. We compare ourselves to those who appear polished, forgetting that their gloss may simply be the mask of performance, not the truth of presence. Becoming is not a problem to solve. It is the nature of your being. And it is not linear. You will not progress in neat upward steps. Sometimes you will spiral, circle back, fall apart before you reassemble. But this too is the dance. Growth is not about always moving forward. It's about learning how to move with whatever arises. And just like in dancing, grace doesn't come from rigid control. It comes from attunement. It comes from the ability to respond to the music of now, not from memorizing steps laid out long ago. To believe in yourself, then, is to trust the improvisation. To know that even if you stumble, the rhythm continues. Even if you lose your way, the dance goes on. You are not meant to be complete. You are meant to evolve. You are not here to arrive. You are here to unfold. There is no moment at which you will be finished. There is no final version of you, waiting at the end of the road, finally worthy of love, of peace, of confidence. There is only this moment, and the next, and the one after that, each an invitation to show up, to move, to become. Comparison is a trick of the mind. There is a quiet thief that robs us of our peace, our joy, and our ability to believe in ourselves. It rarely announces its arrival. It does not shout. It whispers. It disguises itself as motivation, as observation, as truth. It is the voice of comparison. From an early age we are taught to measure, to evaluate, to look left and right before we look within. We are praised when we outperform, corrected when we fall behind. Slowly, almost without noticing, we internalize a way of seeing that is not really seeing at all. It is ranking, judging, fragmenting. We begin to believe that our value lies not in who we are, but in how we measure up. But consider this: no two snowflakes are the same, yet no one questions their worth. No one asks which tree in the forest is the best. No river rushes to outshine the next. And yet we have turned our lives into endless contests, racing shadows we were never meant to chase. Comparison is seductive because it gives the illusion of clarity. They are ahead, I am behind. They are better, I am lesser. It simplifies a world that is vast and wild, and cannot be mapped so easily. It pretends that there is one scale of worth, one direction of success, one kind of beauty or intelligence or strength. But life is not a single path. It is a forest, and you are not here to walk someone else's trail. The tragedy of comparison is not just that it makes us feel less than. It is that it blinds us to what is already ours. You may have gifts that bloom quietly, while others blaze brightly. But brightness does not make something more essential. The moon is no less vital than the sun, though it glows in silence. The mind, left unchecked, will always seek an external mirror. It will scan for evidence. It will ask, am I good enough? And then rush to find someone else's life to answer with. But the mind is easily tricked because it cannot see the whole. It sees snapshots, moments, illusions. It forgets that others too carry hidden doubts, that what is visible is not always what is real. To truly believe in yourself, you must step out of this trap. You must learn to see with different eyes, not eyes that measure, but eyes that behold. To look at your own life not as a product to be judged, but as a story to be honored. It takes courage to stop comparing, because when you do, you're left with something far more vulnerable, yourself unfiltered. But in that space, something extraordinary begins to happen. You start to see your own rhythm, your own shape, your own unfolding. You begin to realize that no one else can be the measure of your becoming, that your path cannot be validated by another's pace, that you were never meant to be like them, or them like you. The oak does not envy the bamboo. The ocean does not compete with the sky. Each exists fully, completely, as itself. Each carries a truth that cannot be replicated. So must you. Silence is where confidence lives in a world obsessed with noise. We often overlook the one place where truth resides. Silence. We are surrounded by constant motion, endless distraction, perpetual commentary. There is always something to react to, something to fix, something to chase. And in all of this rushing we become strangers to our own depth. But confidence, real confidence, does not come from external validation. It does not come from applause, achievements, or the opinions of others. It arises from a different place entirely, a place deeper than words, a stillness beneath thought, a space within you that is untouched by the turbulence of the world. This space does not scream for attention. It does not need to be seen or recognized. It is quiet, but not empty. It is the silence that remains when all roles fall away, when the masks drop, when you are no longer trying to be anyone for anyone. It is what's left when all the doing stops. Most people never pause long enough to feel it. We are taught that confidence is loud, that it looks like certainty, power, charisma, but those are often performances. They are borrowed costumes, stitched together from other people's expectations. They may impress, but they do not satisfy, because the self that wears them is still hiding. True confidence is not about being unshakable. It is not the absence of doubt, but the willingness to sit with it. It is the calm within the chaos, the steady breath in the storm, and it is cultivated not by trying harder, but by listening more deeply. Go still, and you begin to notice. Beneath every fear, every insecurity, every frantic thought about who you are or are not, there is a quiet awareness just watching. It does not judge. It does not panic. It simply observes. That is your true self, not the surface chatter, but the witness behind it. This silent witness is not concerned with success or failure. It is not worried about appearance or approval. It simply knows, not in a logical, verbal sense, but in a knowing that is felt, lived, embodied. That is where your confidence waits, not in the mind, but in the marrow of your being. To reach this place, you do not need to acquire anything new. You do not need to become smarter, braver, stronger. You need only to become quiet, to turn inward, to be still enough to hear the voice beneath all other voices, the one that does not try to convince you, but simply is. This is the voice of presence, the sound of your being undistorted, and the more you learn to rest in it, the less you need the world to reflect you back to yourself. You begin to move from within, not from reaction, but from alignment. You begin to act not to prove, but to express, and this inner stillness becomes your anchor. It is the foundation beneath the shifting sands. It does not falter when opinions change. It does not crumble when outcomes differ. It remains quiet, steady, true,